You want a podcast? Welcome to Flute 360, the podcast that reminds you everything is connected. I'm Dr. Heidi K. Begay, flutist, educator, creative entrepreneur, and follower of Jesus Christ. Here, we explore the full circle, the 360 of your life as a musician. Because who you are as a person shapes who you are as an artist, and the lessons you learn outside the practice room are just as vital as the hours with your flute in hand. From health and spiritual growth to artistry and career fulfillment, this space is where it all intersects. Come as you are. There's a seat for you at the Flute 360 table. Today's episode is episode 346, and it's titled The Music Teacher's Playbook, Proven Strategies to Start, Grow, and Thrive in Your Private Studio, Part 3. Have you ever noticed how we'll spend thousands of dollars on degrees, festivals, and even instruments, but hesitate to invest in the business side of our music? It's not your fault. Most of us were never taught how to actually run a music studio. But once you learn a proven system, you realize you can't afford not to invest in yourself. In today's episode, Dr. Katherine Emeneth, Nathalie Simper, and I dig into that mindset shift, how seeing your studio as a business can completely change your income and impact. Let's jump in. Well, speaking of asking for help, Katherine, Nathalie, and I have just had an amazing friend connection behind the scenes before we hit record because we need it. I know I needed it. We're talking about, just building out the studio, building out businesses, water heaters going out, students needing extra lessons because, they're having family crises, so on and so on. And so we want to share that with you, and we want to expose that because nobody has it together. We are all in this together, and I don't know what I would do in my flute career, personal life without the Katherines and Nathalies in my world. You ladies lift me up. You put a smile on my face when I don't feel like smiling. And I love it that I can send you those goofy texts going, I can't take it anymore. Hopefully you feel the same way, that you have that safe space with me as well in our friendship. And so I just thank you for being here. And I'm so glad that we have this excuse to podcast and talk about your amazing program and your amazing coaching. But I think, it's really funny. The longer I podcast and the more I do this, these scheduled podcast recording calls end up being at a perfect time when I need a reminder, when I need a piece of encouragement, when I need a boost. And selfishly, I say that, and hopefully it's like this divine intervention of going, yes, you're recording. Yes, you're talking about Playbook. But at the same time, here's communion. Here's friendship, here's community to lift each other up. And so what better way to start this part 3 conversation with that sentiment?
Yeah, absolutely. And yes, of course, Nathalie and I think the world of you, Heidi, too. And we always talk about how isolating, this career path can be for any musician, really. And that's why it's so important to have your people and to know that you're not alone and that everybody has the random thoughts and feelings and the staying up late thinking and can't shut down and all of that. And so as long as we're here together to lift each other up, then, that's the most important thing ever, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we need people who we can be completely honest and open with and just truly be ourselves. Like this week, I think I sent you and Eric this really random voice recording that I had like a total brain space. And I was like, if that was going to happen to anybody, I'm so glad that it happened with you, because I know that like you guys are not going to think anything of it. So that like was a good reminder for me this week as well.
Perfect. Yes. And you are dead correct. And I'm glad that we get to laugh through these hard times and celebrate the wins and everything in between together, because I know from firsthand experience, you guys are the exact same way with your clients. There's no sugarcoating. Yes, you get real work done, but at the same time, you have such fantastic ears to listen. And ears to listen as, yes, the studio building gurus, which you rightfully are, and you get through your outlines and formats and your beautiful curriculum. But through that, you listen to the realness of what your clients, your humans, your fellow music colleagues are going through. And you take that and you walk alongside them and say, okay, yes, I've been there. I know exactly where you are. Or even if I don't know exactly where you are, I know enough to say, hey, guess what? We are going to be a team. You are not doing this alone. And we are going to problem solve this together. And that's what I love about your business. It's not like, oh, here's Dr. Emeneth and Mrs. Simper. It's like Katherine and Nathalie. And you ladies, I know, would literally give the shirt off of your back to a complete stranger. And how much more would you give and offer that support to anybody who came into any of your offerings throughout your business?
Yeah, thanks. And likewise, Heidi. I mean, we know that you go to the ends of the earth for all of us too. And, I think that that's something that is really cool that we've all done, is we've realized how important that is, and how making those relationships is the most important thing versus any bottom line or any type of thing you can sell, right? It's really about helping other people.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, 1000%. And speaking of being there for each other, we weren't planning on this, but can you share with us, Nathalie, and then Katherine, can you tell us maybe without putting a name to a face, can you share a little bit of like that human experience that you witnessed firsthand within Playbook when you get to work with your clients at their lowest, or when they have a win and they've recruited a new student or a handful of students? Was there a particular moment throughout working with Katherine and in this offering where you were just mind blown and going, oh, wow, I get to come alongside Jane and help her in this capacity, or Joe in this regard?
I think I have a pretty unique experience because I went through Playbook myself. And, Playbook has kind of evolved in the last couple of years since I was a client and now I'm a coach. So when I see clients who are coming into Playbook and, a lot of them have similar frustrations or roadblocks or things that they're dealing with and wanting to accomplish in their time in Playbook. But knowing that I was sitting on their side at one point, feeling like I was totally lost, had so many questions, didn't even know what I needed to be asking to build the kind of studio that I wanted so that it could enhance my life and make my life better instead of just being this constant source of stress. So when I see things starting to click for our clients of, wow, they had their first sectional at a school and they were terrified going into it, and seeing that light bulb moment of, oh my goodness, I did this and now I can do more. It's been really special to see and experience it on the other side of, I'm not the one having those light bulb moments. I'm the one being able to support these clients while they're recruiting their first student, building their first, community recital, building their first anything in their studio and gaining their footing so that they can feel empowered to continue doing that on their own.
I love that. That's amazing. Katherine, is there one of those moments? I know you have many moments, but can you highlight one?
Yeah, sure. There's actually, I was just thinking about it. There have been 3 folks recently who have joined the program because their position at a college or a university was either dissolved or they were let go because of the transition of what, arts and higher education is going through right now. So they come in to us broken. They come into us really broken, and the job that they thought that they were going to have forever, that they worked so hard for, just went away, and they feel shameful that they don't have a next step. They feel like that they're just completely and totally lost, and that they don't know anything else that they can do other than teach at the higher education level. And so to walk alongside of those folks and to show them, no, actually, you can do this. You have the heart to bring this to your local community. You have a way of using your gift in music as well as in teaching to not only make your life happier and have some stability, financial stability in your life, but also to really help the people that are in your community. And so it's been super cool to see the transformation of the stressed out, broken musician come through the door. And of course, when they leave the program, they don't have everything fixed. I mean, who can even promise that, right?
Yeah.
But they have confidence in themselves to know that they don't need to have that association with an institution, and that they can do this on their own. And they have the systems in place, and they know what they're doing, so that no matter what happens, whatever comes their way, they know that they can always pick themselves up and do this thing, this private teaching thing.
Oh my gosh. Yes, 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 and yes. And I think that's a great reminder for me as a fellow educator too. Like, I know this, but hearing y'all's testimonies and just as other mentors to your clients, it's more than the systems. It's more than the practice method. It's more than, here's your funnel. Here's your freebie. This is how you post. This is how you market. This is how you sell. This is your free trial lesson. It's the heart. It's their mind. And you're helping mend that, because you said brokenness, being shattered, devastated, lost. And we have all three felt that and still do. Like you said, it's not perfect. It's not like we waved this magic wand and by X time within building out our businesses, we're like, oh, we have this all figured out. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. But that's the bottom line of, us letting our hair down and being vulnerable and saying, like, pre-recording, we were like, we need a second to just vent about water heaters and ACs going out and family and things like that, because we need each other. And, for an example, just to give you context, y'all, like Katherine and I, we're in a musicpreneur mastermind, and we meet once a month. Why? Because we need to learn from each other. And the other 5 people in the group help out tremendously by helping us connect dots, think of new ways of trying something in our business. And Nathalie and I, we get to work together on her amazing Limitless Musician podcast. Nathalie decided and said, you know what? I've never podcasted before. Let me go to somebody who's podcasted. And I know Katherine has invested in coaches. I have invested in business coaches. So we're painting this picture so that way, if you're on the fence of going, should I not? Basically, not to sound corny, because we've heard this a million times, but you trying to bootstrap free content on YouTube and figure it out on your own, you'll get gems here and there, but you are basically crossing your fingers and hoping for the best. And it's going to take time to build what you want. And it's probably not going to come together with that clarity that you're craving. And if you're trying to do it on your own, then you don't have that support like you do in a coach. But if you decide, I'm not swiping my card, and buying a $2,000 bag, although that would be nice, you are actually swiping your card for $2,000 or whatever the cost of the program is, because it's an investment. Just like the degrees hanging on your wall, you didn't think twice about taking out hundreds of thousands of dollars for student loans for your degrees. You didn't think twice about taking out hundreds of thousands of dollars on your beautiful, shiny flute in the case. But for some reason, we retreat when we think about that coaching program, that mentorship program, whatever may have you, right?
Yeah. And I think part of the reason why is because the degrees and the instrument are like almost physical things that, like, oh, I just buy that thing and then that solves my problem. but it's not actually like experiential, or however you say it, like where you actually have to do the hard work, like you have someone telling you what to do, but you actually have to do the hard work. It seems like it's like almost like, well, if I just do this, then this will happen type situation.
Mhm. I think too, when we think of learning new skills, there are some things that so naturally feel easy to go and seek out a solution that doesn't involve you trying to figure everything out by yourself. Like, for example, if something breaks in your house and you don't know anything about it, you're not just going to go to a couple of YouTube videos. If it's really complicated, you're going to go and hire a plumber or a technician or something, right? If you want to become a master in your instrument, you're either going to go to get another degree, or you're going to go seek out a reputable teacher so that they can help you learn and grow. But then when it comes to, I'm going to build a music studio, it's interesting that the immediate thought is, well, I'll just figure it out on my own. Instead of, I'm going to go and seek out this knowledge, this expertise from people who I see have successful studios and who are going to know what I'm going to need to know more than I do.
Yes. Wonderfully said. We don't think twice about, well, I want to play the flute better, so let me go get a flute performance degree.
Yeah.
So transfer that same mindset and that same thought process and say, okay, I have never built out a music studio before, so let me go seek that guidance from somebody who has, and not just who has for themselves in their neck of the woods, whether it's Washington, Georgia, wherever, but who has had a wash, rinse, and repeat method for other musicians as well. If the proof's in the pudding, that's where I want to go, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, and that's what I look for too, is like if I'm shopping for a new hairdresser, a new hairstylist or something, I'm going to go where I see that people have had a great experience and that they are heard and they get the cut that they want and they have a good time, not necessarily just the one that I see all the ads for, or something that is not personal or doesn't seem like it's very, very local or something like that.
Mm-hmm. So because we're talking about investments and we're talking about degrees and investing into programs, what are some of the maybe money objections that you've seen in past clients? Because for me, I see a lot with like what I've done with my other businesses, and maybe we see it as, we don't see it quite as an investment,
Mm-hmm.
That's what it was. It was specifically talking about it's a no-brainer to invest in a program that you're going to see that return on investment, that ROI. We did, like I did with Nathalie and Katherine real quick. I was like, oh my gosh, y'all, if 15 years ago, if like young Heidi had a Nathalie and a Katherine in her life, working with you guys would be a no-brainer. And I swear to goodness, I'm not just saying that on air to like get people jazzed up for your program and it be an awful sales pitch. It's like very genuine. I wish I would have had Katherine's Playbook 15 years ago. Reason being is because I was for a long time, I had to figure it out on my own. And that was time and money and energy wasted towards reaching my goals, right? And so when I finally figured it out, then I was making buku. And at one point, I almost made close to, in my studio in Fort Worth, close to 6 figures. On average, I was hitting about 70K a year. That's nothing to sneeze at. That's something I was really proud of, And so a 2K program with change is a no-brainer when it's like, that's pennies on the dollar compared to the possibilities of you making 40, 50, 60, 70K. Obviously, you have to put in the work. Obviously, you're the one who's going to have to follow the framework. It's not like, purchase this, ticket, and then all of a sudden you have a salary just given to you. No, you have to put in the work. And we've all 3 seen that. But it's like, in comparison, it's a no-brainer when it's like, okay, I'm investing 2-3K into this program and I have the potential of making a full-time salary. It's like, Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing because you're basically jump starting their success to where they get to skip the line. They don't have to necessarily they're going to still see hurdles, but they're not going to be walking and dragging their feet along the way, on this dirt path. They're going to be more or less soaring and more or less hitting those milestones and those goals that much quicker, faster, and better.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's a little bit more vulnerable, a little bit more high risk when you feel like you're investing in a program like this, because when you invest in a college degree, oftentimes you're taking out loans, you're having some kind of financial aid to help you cover that investment. So while there's still a large investment on the line, sometimes you don't even see that money, right? It just goes straight from the federal student loan servicers directly to the school. But with programs like this that are additional professional development, you see that money, how hard that you have worked, all of the hours that it has taken for you to earn that money and the sacrifices that you've had to make that income. And so it can feel like a very vulnerable thing. But if you're only looking at that side rather than also considering that investment that you were talking about, knowing that you're going to get a return, that you're going to be able to get closer to that financial stability than if you were trying to do everything on your own, then you're just kind of looking at your problem without also considering the solutions to it.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that with these types of online programs that are coming out these days that we're all helping to build to fill in the gaps, a lot of people don't think that they need them because they already just paid all this money for their formal education. So why do they need to fill in the gaps, And then the other thing too is since there is no, and honestly, there shouldn't ever be any guarantee that you're going to have a full studio by the end of it, because no one can guarantee that. No one has a crystal ball. I think that it feels like a greater risk, knowing this guarantee isn't in there. How do I know that this investment's going to pay off? Well, you don't. But if you want to at least come close and seeing if you can do it and how it's going to work from people who have done this many times and has been very effective over and over and over and over again, then it does take a little bit of investment at the front.
Yeah, we actually, when we speak to Playbook grads and talk about their experience in the decision making of investing financially into Playbook, one of the things that I hear come up time and time again is the fact that I think Katherine does free one-on-one calls, to really just talk and see about what your situation is, so that if it's the right time for Playbook, then she can kind of walk you through that. And if it's not, she can kind of help point you in the right direction. And one of the things they say is, Katherine, you say, if you gain 3 students, then you've paid back that investment, right? And so I have an interview with a former Playbooker on the podcast coming out soon, and they really explained that was one of the things that pushed them forward in deciding, I'm going to do this, because it conceptualized that investment of, okay, 3 students, I can do that. So I don't have to have a full blown studio in order to make this investment worth it.
Wonderfully said. I'm glad you put that all into perspective. It reminds me of a time when Eric and I were newlyweds, had hardly any to no money, and we moved from Louisiana to Texas, and he really wanted to get his audio video certification in Pro Tools. And there's a school in Carrollton, and the whole program cost close to $5,000, and we did not have $5,000. I had credit cards with an availability of a balance of $5,000 to then make monthly installments towards it. But I remember him swiping that card, and because he swiped the card for $5,000, it wasn't on a loan, like you said, Nathalie, where it was tucked away and I can worry about this later. It was right up front. Those payments were going to start ASAP. He showed up differently. And because he showed up differently and it was his money and going, okay, this is $5,000 that I'm investing, and if I use it to my strategy and I use it correctly, it will pay me that ROI. I will get more audio video editing gigs and I will show up differently. And nobody gave him the money. That was his, and he was the only one in his class to actually pass with the certification because the test is like 10 hours long. Nobody else in the class passed. He was the only one to pass. And I think it was that, that seeing those numbers pull up on the credit card statement and realizing like, I'm going to show up and I'm going to show up like I mean it with intention, and I'm going to get her done and do really well because we were a new family. We could have used $5,000 in a million different ways. So that would be my encouragement to anybody who's on the fence of going like, is it worth it? Well, I remember my violin friend, and you guys will really appreciate this, in Louisiana, before we moved, his name was Raul. And I remember him saying like he went off to a DMA program and then he was going to do something else. And he took out these loans and business loans, and he was going to start up a business and get his doctorate at the same time. And he was helping us move. And I looked at him dead in the eye in our kitchen. And I said, how can you afford this? And he literally, without even stuttering, not a skip, nothing, he goes, I can't afford not to. I can't afford not to. And that has stuck with me these last 15, 20 years. And that's so profound. That's so strong of a statement, right? Yeah. And I hear that voice and that sentiment a lot of times when I'm thinking about investing in myself or swiping the card for my business. I'm like, I can't afford not to. And it's empowering. And yeah, it may be a little like, you're shaking in your boots a little bit when you're swiping that card for that investment, but you will show up differently and you will take it seriously because of that investment. And if you do, you're going to, like, your future self, like going through it, I know 9 times out of 10, my future self thanks past Heidi. And I'm like, oh, thank you, Heidi. Thank you so much.
For sure.
Yeah.
And something that Nathalie and I see all the time too is the folks who do Playbook and they are all in and they do apply themselves and they do, what we suggest, and they are very open in communication and stuff. They make that investment back like before the end of the program is over. And then that allows them to build upon that going forward. So yeah, like there is no reward without taking a risk, right? Sometimes, and in this case, anytime it's involved with expanding what you don't know, like learning things that you don't know that you want to know and fill in those gaps, there is definitely risk involved, but the reward is so huge that it could just take you to the next level. And and for me, at least, it's always been worth it.
I love that. So because I want to respect y'all's time, I know you're off to rehearsals and prepping for competitions. We've talked a lot about a variety of different topics through this 3-part series. I want to give you space as we're wrapping up these phenomenal conversations where you can leave the listener with a sentiment or some information, a piece of information about Playbook. So that way they know where to go, how they can contact you, and all that jazz.
Okay, yeah, sure. Well, I would just say that as far as the sentiment goes, being a musician, we all knew getting into this, it was going to be difficult, right? And we all know that is the thing that comes with the territory. And I think the important thing to remember is that, yeah, it's tough for everyone, but that doesn't mean that you can't do it. Maybe it just is going to look different than you thought it would look. And if you're, passionate about education and you're passionate about your community and you really are interested in giving back to that, as well as building up a really cool thing for students, for families, for music programs in your community, then that is exactly who we're looking for to be part of our program. Because yes, it is a coaching program where we coach you how to build a studio, but more than that, it is our cultural movement. We want people who are what I like to call music education warriors. We want people who are willing to change the culture of classical music at the grassroots level, at the community level, with the 11-year-old at their first flute lesson and getting them excited and showing them how good and how important music is. That's who we're looking for. And so we love this program. We think it's great. It teaches so much more than just how to do your finances and how to do your schedule. It teaches you how to be a confident business owner and how to be a musician in today's world. So we're always looking for people who are eager and ready to join us in our little Playbook family. And so for more information about this, I know Heidi's going to put the link in the show notes. But yes, we will have like a 30-minute strategy call with me. And honestly, that's you to check out me and for me to check out you to make sure you're going to be the right fit, because we really want to make sure that if you're going to invest with us, that you're the right fit for the program, so that we can make sure that you're on the right path.
I would also like to add that you, just like with anything in life, you get what you put into it. So if you're looking for something to help support you in enacting change and evolving your studio or starting your studio, then you're going to get the work, the effort that you put into it. So if you're worried or thinking about, well, this is going to be a lot of work, this is a lot of time and a lot of money. It is a lot of time. It is a lot of money. It is a lot of energy and resources. But if you give your heart and soul to it, you're going to get the results that you're looking for, even if they don't look the way that you have expected them to be. Because as musicians, we like to predict how everything's going to go and have everything fit into a nice, tidy little box. But you're going to have the career that you've always wanted, even if it looks a little different.
That's not us at all.
Ooh, us? Boxes? What?
My day? No.
Oh, shoot. I feel so called out in such a great way. Thanks for that laugh, Nathalie. Well, you ladies are fantastic. Yes, they are correct. All the links will be in the show notes below. If you have any questions, please reach out to these two wonderful ladies. They do not bite. They are the most warm-hearted people I have met in our industry, and they want you to succeed. So you show up, you do the work. They want to see you succeed. And thank you for listening to this 3-part series, and click the links in the show notes. And until next time, I hope today's conversation helped you see that investing in yourself is the key to lasting growth. If you're ready to map out what that could look like for your own flute studio, click the link in the show notes to book a call with Dr. Katherine Emeneth. She'll meet you where you are and help you build a music studio that truly thrives. You've got this. Let's talk about flute.